loyalty and adopt the cause and move on to the next when the feeling's lost. Insulting and brutal, so sorry I'm not rural. When it comes to the issues, I'm East Coast cruel. There's no time to waste, late at night feeling the haste. I'm told to make a difference, you gotta take it one step at a time. But sometimes I get so frustrated, hard to see the bottom line. Just wanna fix it all like y'all do this, y'all do that. But people don't know of the problems because they closed off, it's whack. They don't see the problems, just the outcomes. Whose fault is that? Don't know, guess you can't know what you don't know, but you act like you do know, so it makes change impossible. If it do go, it go real slow. Nobody got opportunity to break out of the mold. People be working too hard for too long till they're too old. Then they're left behind, while people's is buying the newest and latest just to get that extra shine, which is fine, because people ain't educated on the subject, and that's the true crime. The system's doing people wrong, and it's weighing heavy on my mind. So how does that encourage love of diversity? Instead of celebrating cultures, people's looking in pity. At others not like them, I respect all ethnicities. We're not all the same, we're different, and I think that's beautiful. All my time I spend trying to learn how you live so I can know why you do what you do and make a new friend. Up in school, the class is full, learning dates and battles when it's cultures and lifestyles that matter. Learn from your past, learn from your elders, the people who did it before you instead of climbing the ladder. Stepping over others instead of lifting up your brothers. Money does matter, get your food and shelter, then help lives that's shattered. Or at least smile when you're speaking. It rubs off, a smile's worth repeating. It rubs off, a smile's worth repeating. So tell me what your dreams are. I won't take them on, I got my own. But I'll encourage you to take out your own. Money or self-esteem, whatever you need. Baby, you got this, wipe your slate clean. Give yourself another chance, put on a confident stance. Trust yourself and other people will trust you too. Be a man of your word so you can keep a tight crew that supports you and loves you and truly listens to you. When you're saying something outrageous, they listen like it could be true. Thank you guys.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Q. What a Q. Give it up. Okay. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for attending and listening to these musical expressions of truth and Voices for Democracy. We're going to have one last reading here, and then we're going to start into our speaker segment, and we'll be leading up, of course, to the march. But I want to introduce to you a wonderful poet here at the podium. If we could pull up the podium mic, Sierra Rainey, an amazing young poet, another voice of a new generation. Please listen to what she has to say.
All right, thanks. Go ahead. He's got you.
Oh, this mic. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Okay. Thank you. This poem is called State of the Human. We, the people of the United States, are still deciding who the people are. Compromise again by counting each fifth of a person's humanity. Though now it is easier to find ways to reduce them. Subtract 1 for skin with an excess of color. Subtract 2 for the absence of a Y chromosome. Use another if English did not flow from your tongue first. And the last can be lost for any reason. For loving in vivid arcs of color that bend around tradition. For being born a daughter who bears the pronouns of a son. For kneeling in prayer toward a foreign horizon. For bowing before no altar except the earth itself. For clinging to a tribal name in a land that demands forgetting. For speaking a language of hands when the world demands sound. For chasing daydreams and purpose instead of dollars and profits. For living life on a spectrum that does not define normality. For carving meaning into spaces that some call disordered. For carrying your home address in the soles of tattered shoes. For believing that your body is your body to do with as you choose. For seeing genocide where others see political strife. others hear righteousness. For knowing no one deserves to lose their life for what they believe. For knowing what you believe should never degrade the value of another person's life. And what is a person if not the immigrant carrying a homeland between his ribs? What is a person if not the officer who breaks those ribs like glass? What is a person if not the child rehearsing survival instead of recess? What is a person if not the gunman who made that rehearsal necessary? What is a person if not me, if not you, if not them, if not a citizen, or some other label for this human birthright? But when the human is stripped away and the rights are ripped away, through what dialect will this government define our worth? Bloodlines like mine are already engraved with historical connotations meant to diminish, to degrade, to deface our power. But we have broken the bondage forced upon us before, and we will do it again if we have to. It is a shame that we have to. This country is not an accident of borders. It is the covenant of people who were exploited by the rule of one voice and banded against it to found a place worthy of being called the land of the free. Centuries later, America trembles at the sight of its own reflection, not recognizing itself in the mask of an imposter. But this is not a syndrome. We have become the mask. This guilt is well earned. With every book burning, with every censorship, with every starving child, with every mass shooting, with every brutalized body, with every broken promise, with every seed of hate that has been sown in the soil of a land that calls itself free. With every seed of hate that has been sown in the soil of a land that calls itself free, or great, or the land of liberty, the guilt is the harvest. America, where is your liberty, your justice, your tranquility? Has there ever been general welfare? How many more pieces of this country's identity will be stolen before it can no longer be recognized? Whose American dream is this? A union is not born whole. It is intentionally stitched by hands that decide to reach for each other. Not point fingers, not destroy, but reach. There is labor in this. There is love in this. There is humanity in this. And what is a country but humanity gathered into promise, carried forward by a common will to live, prosper, to be free? America, where is your freedom? And what will you do to be worthy of it?
That's Sierra Rainey, ladies and gentlemen. A voice of wisdom and a voice of grace. Come on up here. Okay, thank you, Sierra. All right, we're bringing to the stage now a voice of the constituents here in central Indiana, Indianapolis. State Senator Fadi Kadura is here to speak to us today and kick off the speakers event. And so if you would give him a warm welcome, I think he'd like to do that in return. Hello, Indiana! Hello, Indiana! Hello, Indiana! My siblings, my name is Fadi Kadura, and I have the greatest honor in my life to be your servant in the Indiana State Senate. I'm here today and will be with you every day to stand for justice, to stand for peace, to stand for the voiceless, to stand for the marginalized, to stand for those who their representation is about to be stolen from them behind closed doors by the Indiana General Assembly. As an immigrant, as a proud American citizen, as a proud Hoosier, I stand with you today to make our voices united, to send a clear message. We will send a very clear message to all the politicians, to the corporations, that our nation and our state and our democracy is not up for sale. Our democracy is not up for sale, and we refuse cutting deals behind closed doors. I have always said it, and I will continue to say it. Any political party that can't stand on the merits of its ideas is unworthy of governing. Today, we stand with our immigrant neighbors. It is shameful to support any initiative that breaks families in America. We are not gathered here today to pledge allegiance to political parties. We are not here today to pledge allegiance to politicians who decided to select their voters rather than the voters selected their representatives. We are here today to reaffirm what we stand for. And brothers and sisters and my siblings, let me tell you why we're here today. We are here today because we don't elect kings in America. We are here today because democracy, humanity, compassion, and justice is not about left versus right. Let me say it one more time. This is not about left versus right. This is about right versus wrong. And today, we will be honored with your support. We will have an amazing lineup of speakers who will share the message of hope, the message of compassion, the message of justice, the message that this nation belongs to the people, we the people. And it's my honor now to introduce my sibling, Danielle Drake from the ACLU of Indiana, to get us kick-started. Thank you, everyone.
Good afternoon, and welcome. I'm so glad to see all of you here today. This rally, hosted by Indivisible, Mad Voters, Women for Change, the Concerned Clergy, and the ACLU of Indiana. Thank you for being here. My name is Danielle Drake. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a Hoosier, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a proud resident of Indianapolis. take too long, but because you are in for some really great speakers, some really great performers, and people who continue to show what courage, conviction, and true public service look like. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to ground us in where we are and why we're here. It has been 271 days since Donald Trump returned to office. Since then, we've relentlessly witnessed what happens when power is used not to serve the public, but to serve the powerful, to serve the billionaires, and to serve the puppets. We've seen blatant racism towards our black and brown neighbors, open attacks on the press and their ability to report the truth, and policies designed to divide and silence rather than unite and protect. We've seen families torn apart, rights stripped away from our communities, and the truth and even science itself treated as optional. Public interest does not guide our leaders. Extremists do. And yet, in moments like these, it's worth remembering something fundamental to our democracy, that we are not subjects. We are not pawns. We are not silent, and we will not simply comply. We are citizens. We are voters, and we are the nation that our founders dreamed of. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, and promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. That is why we are here today, and why we gather for No Kings 2, because today is a response and a reminder to Donald Trump, to Governor Braun, to anyone who embraces this display of unchecked power. This is our house. Those values are not welcome here. We are mobilized. Now I know, not everyone agrees with protest, or civil obedience, or legal dissent, and that's okay. Some may see a rally like this as divisive, disruptive, or even futile. But I want you to be clear about something. We are not here to sow chaos. We are here to take critical steps towards justice and equality. This moment, this gathering, this movement is not the end of a fight. It is the display of solidarity, unity, perseverance. We cannot stand up to fascism alone. We have a common enemy in this state. Every chant, every sign, every person standing shoulder to shoulder here today says one thing, that we believe in a future where power serves the people, not the other way around. We show up because silence has never been the path to progress. Movements are what shape our country's ideals, and having courage to just do something is the key. And when history looks back on this very moment, it will not remember who stayed home, or who was marching, or who was the loudest. It will remember who stood up in this moment together and share a common dissent. Democracy belongs to the people, to all of us who continue to show up, speak out, and demand better. Those who organize, who educate, and vote not for self-interest, but for our Hoosiers, because we are the people. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protections of the law. Thank you for standing here with us. Thank you for being here. We gather not in despair, but in defiance, and not in defense, but in design, knowing that together we can and will hold this unkempt power accountable. We will hold the line.
Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you, Danielle.
You guys doing the next segment?
All right, hold on a second here. I want to find out what the next program is here. All right. We're going to do a little chant leadership here. We're going to bring a gentleman up here. I'm going to let him introduce you and himself to you. Dustin? What's his name? Okay. Bonnie, I'm going to let you guys take this.
Here you go. And I need this other...
Hey, we're a little quiet here. I say no, you say kings. No. 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 I say no, you say kings. No. 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 Here we go, stay loud.
Thank you, Stu. Thank you, friends. And I will invite to the stage our friend Brian so he can talk to us briefly about some security measures to keep everyone safe today. Brian.
Thank you. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Thank you for being here today and exercising your First Amendment rights. That even includes a couple of Trumpers that are out there. They do have a right. They do have a right to speak. So I am the guy that is going to tell you we have no bathrooms here. So if you have to use the facilities, you're going to need to go to one of the buildings across the street. We apologize, but those were Statehouse rules, and the Statehouse is closed today, I think specifically because they did not want to see this crowd. We have security marshals posted throughout the audience. They're in blue vests. If you see something, say something. Look for someone in a security vest and get them involved. If you see somebody that is agitating, do not escalate. Do not retaliate. This is a nonviolent protest. We need to keep it that way. Finally, we want to say thank you to the local and state police that are here today. They are law enforcement here to enforce the laws and keep us safe. We appreciate you. Finally, if you brought trash with you, please take it with you. We do have some trash receptacles, but please do not leave signs behind when we're done. Enjoy this day. Thank you for coming out. We love you all.
Thank you, Brian. We will officially start with the national anthem with Rhonda, followed by my friend Michael with the Black National Anthem.
Here you
go, Rhonda.
All right. I'm looking out at all you beautiful people out there. All you people, we are here today because we are here for joy, because when we stand for joy, we stand against fear. And they're wanting us to feel fearful and chaos. And we are not going to do that because we are here with joy. And you know what? When I was asked to sing the national anthem, I thought, it's kind of hard right now, right? It feels a little funny. But then I thought, we need to take this back. We need to take back the national anthem. Right? So when I get to the part, I want you to sing along, but when we get to the part that says the land of the free, I want you to add this. For all people. Let's try that together. The land of the free. For all people. All right, sing along with me. Oh, so can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly strong. And the rockets cracked their bombs bursting in air, take proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free for all people and the home of the brave. I'd like to introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, my friend Michael Thomas, who's going to sing for you the Black National Anthem. Sing along. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Michael Thomas.
I'm not in charge of this part.
Friends, let's begin with the prayer invocation from the fierce leader, my friend, Dr. Reverend Pastor Wayne Moore from Indianapolis.
Before we pray, I wonder if we could give freedom and democracy about 30 seconds of a round of applause. Can we do that? Come on, we can do better than that. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Come on. Let them know we're here. Ten more seconds. 10 more. 10 more. Amen. Let us bow our heads. God, we come as people who fear your presence and not the presence of a man-made king. We're here today for unity, justice, democracy, and equality and equity. We pray, God, that you move us into space now where you'll use us to make a shift, not only in our country, but in this state. Help us to realize, God, every personality and every vote is needed to make a shift in times like these. We pray for those who have traveled from each end of this state to come and visit their house right here on the steps today. To say thank you for what you're getting ready to do with the No Kings movement for the rest of this year. So today we lift every speaker, every organizer today that has organized our presence in this place and on this step. For that we seek your victory, your power, and your strength. In Jesus' name, and for all of our sake, we pray this prayer. Amen. 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 Give me 10 more seconds. Clap your hands for democracy.
I'm about to introduce you. Friends, let Indiana hear your voices. Hello, Indiana! One of my dear brothers and siblings, the president of the Indianapolis Concerned Clergy, has been in the trenches fighting with us the good fight for many years with many faith leaders in our community. It's my honor to introduce to you my brother, my sibling, my friend, Dr. Reverend Pastor David Green. That's good.
That's good.
Good afternoon, family. We gather here today not just to make noise, but to make history. We gather not to simply protest a person, but to protest a principle. And that principle is this: in America, we don't bow to kings. We build democracy. When our ancestors broke free from the crown of England, they declared that power belongs to the people. They didn't fight for a monarch's mercy. They fought for our liberty. Amen. They built a nation on a sacred idea that no one man, no one office, no one political party should ever rise above the law. However, we now stand in a moment where the idea is under siege, when leaders treat courts like suggestions, when truth has become optional, when loyalty to power matters more than the service to the people. And we must say with one voice, no more. No kings. No tyrants. Democracy does not die overnight. It erodes little by little when people stop paying attention. But here in Indiana, we see it happening in real time. When maps are rigged to dilute our voices. When redistricting locks out communities of color and working families. It is not fair representation, it's manipulation. And now we see the president picking up the phone, trying to pressure Indiana lawmakers into doing their bidding. That's not leadership, that's intimidation. And when outside power brokers try to redraw our destiny from afar, it reminds us why this rally truly matters. Because calls from Mar-a-Lago will not rule Hoosiers. It's the call of democracy and equality and equity and truth that will guide us. That's why we must demand maps that reflect the people, not protect the powerful. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. But that arc does not bend by itself. It bends when we put our hands on it. It bends when we show up. It bends when we speak up. It bends when we stand up. So today we must recommit ourselves to voting in every election, not just the big ones. We must recommit to holding leaders accountable, but not worshiping them. We must teach our children that courage is greater than comfort and truth is stronger than fear. Hoosiers, we must remember, we're not subjects, we're citizens. We're not spectators, we're stewards. We're not hopeless, we are the hope. We're not the problem, we are the promise. We're not bystanders, we are builders. We're not the voiceless, we are the voice people. We're not give up, we're getting stronger. This is still our America. It is not a palace for the privileged, but a promise for the people. So we must keep on showing up, speaking truth, standing tall, and no one will ever crown themselves as a king over our democracy. No kings, no tyrants, just the people. Thank you, Indianapolis. May God bless you, and may God bless our democracy.
Give it up one more time to Dr. David Green. My siblings, last time I checked, last time I read about the history of the United States, I read that we are all immigrants except for the indigenous people. And the passage of time does not give one community more privilege than other communities. Last time I checked, the Puritans who came to the United States escaping religious persecution, last time I checked they were undocumented immigrants. We do respect the law. We do respect order. But we will never tolerate or support or condone the politics of exclusion and division. It is not that humans are illegal. It is that the law is broken. Let me remind you Let me remind you, throughout our history, some of our brothers and sisters and siblings in the black community were treated as 3/5 of a human. If you were not a property owner in the 1800s, it didn't matter what your faith or your background or your race or ethnicity, you couldn't vote. Last time I checked, we made a commitment as a nation that what makes America great is not the politics of injustice and division and hate and fear, but rather the politics of hope, of unity, of compassion, of inclusion, and treating every citizen as a first-class citizen. And with that, my siblings, let me introduce to you my sister in this fight, Carla Lopez, the president of the Indiana Latino Democratic Caucus. Give it up for Carla.
Thank you. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone! My name is Carla Lopez Owens, and I'm grateful to be gathering peacefully with you today. I am here because I am angry and disgusted by what's happening in this country. Aren't you? I am sick and tired of waking up every day and reading about families being ripped apart, reporters being tear-gassed, and U.S. citizens being detained because of the color of their skin or the origin of their last name. Aren't you sick of this too? What is happening in this country right now is very personal for me. I'm an immigrant, and when I was 8 years old, my mother brought me and my sisters to the United States from Mexico. She wanted to escape the crushing poverty at her hometown, thank you, and wanted to give us a shot at a good education and a chance at a better life. My mom worked night and day to make this happen, cleaning bathrooms, emptying trash cans at schools, hotels, and offices. It was dirty work, it was hard work, but she did it with so much pride. Thank you. Thankfully, her work paid off for my sisters and myself. I was the first in my family to graduate from college, and after that, I graduated from the IU McKinney School of Law. Today, I'm proud to work as a deputy prosecuting attorney here in Marion County under the leadership of Prosecutor Ryan Mears. And I am also very proud to serve as the president of the Indiana Latino Democratic Caucus. I have lived in Indiana for the last 25 years. I love Indiana, and I'm proud to be a Hoosier. My family came here with nothing, and Indiana welcomed us. I have always felt at home here, but things feel very different now. The Trump administration has poisoned the minds of Americans with disgusting, outrageous, and baseless lies about immigrants, calling us drug dealers and murderers, comparing us to Hannibal Lecter. We are not any of these things. The truth is, immigrants, including undocumented immigrants, are less likely to commit crimes than U.S.-born citizens. Trump, on the other hand, is a criminal, a convicted felon in fact. And the Trump administration has been called the most corrupt presidential administration in American history. Coalition for America does nothing to help the working class. We know he's looking out for himself and his billionaires' buddies. But to sell this scam to America, he needed to invent an enemy. So he turned to one of America's most vulnerable populations, the immigrant community. They sure do make America great. Trump wants to make us hate each other so we won't notice he is robbing us blind. To accomplish this, Trump has weaponized immigration. I want to remind you that prior to the Trump administration, immigration reform had largely been a bipartisan goal in modern U.S. history. In 1986, conservative icon President Ronald Reagan granted amnesty to 3 million undocumented immigrants. And George W. Bush, the last Republican prior to Trump, talked about finding a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants. But all that changed under the emergence of Trump. Trump has stoked racism, hatred, and fear to push his political agenda. His greed and corruption have turned the American dream into an unbearable nightmare. He has built modern-day concentration camps. He has created his own private army, turning ICE into the highest-funded federal law enforcement agency. He is deploying the National Guard on everyday American working people, and he is violating the constitutional rights of Americans on a daily basis. We cannot allow this to continue. Make some noise if you agree with me! Make some noise if you are ready to take the country back! This fight won't be easy. I've been fighting for equality since I was 14 years old. When I marched in the streets in 2006 during the country's mass mobilization for immigration rights. Change takes time, but we cannot give up. We must continue to show up every day, even when we're drained and morally defeated. It is our duty to show up. Every day I am consumed by grief so big that it threatens to swallow me whole. But at the same time, I am reminded of the privilege and access I have as a U.S. citizen and the responsibility that comes with that. So I urge you to join me in this fight because our families, our communities, and the future of this country depends on us. Please join the Indiana Latino Democratic Caucus, the Indiana Undocumented Youth Alliance, where we have a rapid response team and we need all the help available, all the energy available, and we have room for everyone here. I look forward to working with you all today. Thank you.
Give it up for Carla Lopez Owens. All right. I need to hear you. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. I say no, you say kings. No! 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 Senator Kadura, take this over. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. To keep us going, it's my honor to introduce to you Reverend Dr. Felipe Martinez with the Columbus Community United. Dr. Felipe, please give it up to Dr. Martinez. Good afternoon, mi gente.
I'm going to ask, who are we? And the response will be, we're a nation of immigrants. Who are we? We're a nation of immigrants. I'm sure most of you have heard recent news about Camp Atterbury, which sits in our backyard. The Trump administration is planning to build on its grounds a facility to hold immigrants detained by ICE. Friends, this plan is so troubling to me because it represents a 180-degree turnaround for this camp. Because a mere 4 years ago, that camp was the place of gracious welcome for 7,200 immigrants from Afghanistan. The surrounding communities rallied to support these Afghan immigrants who had been airlifted from Afghanistan and who had been supported, who had been brought in because they supported American troops. And we were there to fulfill the promise. You helped us, we will help you. And that makes sense because who are we? We're a nation of immigrants. The church I serve has a history of resettling immigrants. A Vietnamese family in the 1970s, a Syrian family in 2016. And so our church mobilized a group of 6 communities of faith: Presbyterian, Catholic, Christian, Baptist, Latter-day Saints, and our local mosque. So together we could resettle 7 Afghan families in Columbus. It took thousands of volunteer hours and tens of thousands of dollars, but all for a single purpose. It was a community-wide effort. It wasn't red, it wasn't blue, it was all of us. And that makes sense, because who are we? We're a nation of immigrants. But that national identity is under attack by xenophobic policies from the Trump administration, who even before its first term was broadly depicting all immigrants as criminals, sowing fear and stoking division. The refugee and asylum programs have been basically halted. Students on visas have been robbed of their freedom of expression. Skyrocketing new work visa fees, which are opposed by industry, by the way, will help fund tax breaks for the very rich. ICE is currently deploying masked individuals bearing no official badges or warrants to grab immigrants outside schools, in courthouses, in the streets, irrespective of their status. Sweeping up law-abiding immigrants, even U.S. citizens, intentionally profiling brown and black people who happen to speak Spanish with no due process. People are detained. They are deported to unrelated countries whose governments are being bribed with our tax dollars to jail them. This is counter to our identity as a country, because who are we? We're a nation of immigrants. Columbus Community United opposes the creation of the ICE detention facility at Camp Atterbury. But if it does come, we are already mobilizing to press for the humane and lawful treatment of the immigrants detained, ensuring their physical and spiritual well-being. We have reached out to Camp Atterbury's commander, and we are partnering with Indiana AID, and they have a booth here on the grounds. And I encourage you to connect with them and other agencies who are present here to support our effort. Our immigrant neighbors are engineers, farm workers, doctors, students, scientists, restaurant staff, day laborers. They make this community better. contributions of our immigrant brothers, sisters, and siblings. You know, annually, immigrants generate some $1.6 trillion in economic activity nationwide, and they contribute more than $579 billion in local, state, and federal taxes. And here's one you may not know about. About 24,000 immigrants, green card holders, currently serve with honor as active duty and reserve troops in the armed forces. And that number is much higher when you include the children of immigrants who are now U.S. citizens and born in this country. We cannot let anti-immigrant rhetoric and policies tear apart the true fabric of our nation. Because who are we? We're a nation of immigrants. Who are we? We're a nation of immigrants. Thank you so much.
Give it up one more time to Reverend Martinez, please. One more speaker that is joining us today, Danielle Cooney with Live Free Indiana. Please welcome her. She's an organizer, amazing organizer in our community that stands for justice. Please give it up to Danielle, please.
Good afternoon. How are you doing today? I want to try something to get our blood flowing. At our public action earlier this year called Keep Indy Home, we focused on keeping our friends, neighbors, and family home and safe. So when I say Keep Indy, I want you to say home as loud as you can. Keep Indy. Keep Indy. Keep Indy. Thank you for helping me step out of my comfort zone and get our blood flowing. My name is Danielle Cooney. I'm a business owner, a student, an organizer with Live Free Indiana, a wife, and most importantly, a mother. My path to motherhood was different from many others, and it began when I was about 7 years old. In 1990, at the age of 7, my family was torn apart and would never be made whole again because of an incredibly broken system. Less than a year later, at the age of 8, I gave testimony to some of the most damning evidence against my father in the case against him and his widow. At least in part to my testimony, my father was sentenced to 65 years in prison for child abuse and neglect and the murder of my baby sister. My family would never have the chance to be whole again, and I continued to be a part of the broken foster care system until successful reunification with my mother. It was through this experience I learned the cost of families being separated and what it means to be in a safe home. I am now a foster parent, and I work incredibly hard to get parents reunited with their children in a system that is still broken. As a community, we cannot accept the intentional breaking apart of families. Live Free Indiana is one of the largest grassroots organizing movements in this state. I organize with this movement because
they too fight to keep families together and whole and work to change broken systems. This past city budget session, we secured $17 million in public goods and services in our community. In February, as part of this campaign, the Indie Action Coalition, one of the bases with Live Free, attempted to engage a conversation with the sheriff regarding his federal contract allowing ICE to detain people. He declined to meet with us. Coward! By March, it became increasingly clear that the sheriff had no intention of engaging in a conversation with the constituents who elected him. We held press conferences, protests, bought billboards, and leveraged the city council to challenge his budget. Nothing worked. Until we showed up in force at his budget hearing in front of the city council. We showed up 40 people strong, but we were missing signs and spines, and it seemed he had lost his. decided he would talk to us. This is how people power works. In that meeting, we learned he was not doing this for money, but because ICE asked him to. See, the sheriff thinks it is the law for him to work with ICE, yet nearly all of Indiana's 92 sheriffs do not view the law this way. This is complicity. So ask yourself, are 88 sheriffs not working with ICE breaking the law? And what law is being broken? This is not about adhering to an interpretation of a certain state law. This is bending a knee to the MAGA agenda. Just this week, our sheriff sat down and listened to MAGA border czar Tom Holman call on this state to pass some of the most aggressive deportation laws in the country. Our sheriff took a photo afterwards with this man. Our sheriff has failed to uphold his commitments to his constituents, his supporters, his community, and maybe most importantly, he has failed to uphold his own courage. The ICE detainees at Marion County Jail are not criminals. They are locked away with no idea what is happening for days at a time and then disappear into a system that treats them as less than human. Shared this week his vision to turn every local law enforcement agency in Indiana into an extension of ICE. Sheriff Forrestal is already modeling this for him. This is the legacy Sheriff Forrestal will leave behind if we fail to act together. Instead of creating a system where everyone can be safe, he is advancing an agenda where black and brown neighbors are terrorized. What is happening in Chicago now can happen in Indianapolis, Elkhart, Fort Wayne, and Sellersburg, Indiana, and Clark County. Our movement has committed to continuing to pressure the sheriff and make sure our tax dollars are not used to detain our neighbors because of the color of their skin. We need your help to achieve this. We need everyday folks to use their voice to demand the sheriff stop collaborating with ICE and cancel the contract he has that allows the jail to be used to hold our neighbors. If the sheriff chooses, he could write a great legacy by ending the contract with the federal government, and that would make him a leader we could stand with. At the Indian Action Coalition and the Live Free table, there are flyers with a QR code you can scan to send a direct email to the sheriff asking to end the federal contract that allows ICE to use our jail. Let's flood his inbox. Today, a campaign is being launched encouraging our communities to write letters to the sheriff and then deliver them to him. Place the letters in his hand or as close as possible, so we simply can't click the trash button. Sign up and join us in the fight as we continue to demand the end of the contract. Let's tell Sheriff Forrestal, please come and walk alongside us in our fight for justice from an oppressive system that is just trying to tear our community apart instead of holding each other up. And one more time, keep Indy. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. My siblings, my segment today with you will end in a few minutes. I want to share a couple of messages. The message of what's going on today in the Indiana General Assembly and in Congress at a national level. Then a message of hope and civility. And I'll conclude with a call for action. My siblings, the federal government is closed at a time when the Republican Party is in control of the White House and both chambers in Congress. Rather than getting on the phone to work with all partners to reopen the government and help fund health care and child care and early childhood education, the president on Friday phoned the Senate Republicans to steal 2 congressional seats. We're not being emotional. We're not emotional. We are pragmatic in our assessment of what they're trying to do. And let me tell you what they are trying to do. By not being popular based on their policies and fearing losing the 2026 election, when they were unable to stand on the merits of their ideas, they chose to cheat. If they cheat and they succeed, what does that mean to you and to Hoosiers across Indiana? It means that they will cement their agenda of cutting Medicaid, of cutting funding for CCDF funds, of shifting wealth and helping with tax cuts for the most ultra-wealthy in our nation, the 1%. Continue the shameful legacy of more than 25 years of our nation spending more than $10 trillion funding wars, but not funding food for our hungry kids in America. If their agenda is America first, then let it be America first. My siblings, they want to get rid of 2 amazing congressional representatives for Indiana. My congressperson, Andre Carson, a fierce voice for justice, and Frank Mervan from Northwest Indiana. Now let me tell you this. We might be called back in a special session. And if they do, I hope that we translate our feelings, our energy, our emotions in action. And that action does not begin on Tuesday, November 18th, when we are back for Organization Day. That begins today by calling every state representative in Indiana. Call them and tell them we are Hoosiers, we live as honest people, and we don't tolerate, respect, or support cheaters. Finally, as it relates to a call of action, we can't wait till every election to file for pro-democracy candidates. The work of building a pro-democracy infrastructure is the tireless work of every day in every community, in every zip code. We are not building an infrastructure for the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. We are building the people's infrastructure to win in Indiana. We want legislators and elected officials who are not up for sale. Let me conclude with a message of hope. During these times, it's extremely important to understand and process our emotions. While it is normal to be angry, it is acceptable to be concerned and anxious. We have to look back through the history of the United States to find hope. When the Puritans came to the United States, they came as undocumented immigrants escaping religious persecution. In pursuit of their freedom, the indigenous people were oppressed. Then we went through a revolution to free ourselves from colonial powers, and we succeeded. And then we went through a civil war. Unfortunately, 600,000 fellow citizens lost their lives in a civil war to ensure that the promise of America continues to live. Then we had legislators across America who did not like freedom and justice for all, so they came up with what was known as black codes and Jim Crow laws. And then we had a civil rights movement to fight for Medicaid and Medicare and the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act and many other things, and to elect people who represent all of us. And it was a little bit too too late, but we had our first black president in 2008. But let me tell you something. I believe in hope. I sincerely believe in hope. And I believe in civility. And I believe in the power of ideas. And I lived it every step of my personal life. As an immigrant who was raised in poverty, who came to this nation not speaking English, who lived in New Orleans, Louisiana, and lost my brother-in-law to gun violence, who became homeless with his wife and daughter after Hurricane Katrina, who came to Indiana to build a better life. From immigrant, poor, homeless, to serving you in the Indiana State Senate, you better bet that I believe in hope. I believe in hope, and I believe in resiliency, and I believe in courage, and I believe in standing up on the merits of our ideas. Our fight to preach to you something I did not live through. I am here to tell you, when hardship hits, we don't recoil. When hardship hits, we gather, we unite, we lean on one another, we protect one another, we stand for what is right. I was told in 2020 when I ran for office, running on the platform of freedom, of justice, of inclusion, I was told that my name is fag and I can't win in Indiana. And I proudly stand in front of you, not because of my success, but because Hoosiers believe in being inclusive. Because you made it very clear, we reject the politics of division and we reject the politics of injustice. My siblings, Dr. King, a few hours before he was assassinated, he reminded the world of an important message. He's the same person who told us when he was asked about hate, he said hate is too much of a burden, so he chose love. Let me share with you, I do not hate those who I disagree with. I do not hate the Republicans for who they are as individuals and human beings. I hate the sin of unjust or unjust policies. We're not gathered to promote hate or discrimination or division. We cannot solve division and exclusion by exercising division and exclusion. So Dr. King, in his last few hours, said, we have difficult days ahead. He didn't sugarcoat it. He said, we have difficult days ahead. And I might not be there with you, but I've made it to the mountaintop. And I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. And we as people will see the promised land. And Indiana will see the promised land. We'll see the promised land, and the days of one political party control will be over with your work, with your dedication, with your commitment, with hope, with resiliency. Hoosiers, let's go to work.
Good to be here with you today. We are Indie Voices Rising. We are just a group of people who love to sing and want oppression to end, and we are tired. Part of what sustains organizing work is mourning along with the oppressed, but also art and joy. So we wanted to gather for all these things. We want you to sing along with us, so we have a handy-dandy frog with a QR code. If anyone feels comfortable bringing this QR code with lyrics back in the crowd, let us know. And otherwise you can go on Instagram and look up Indie Voices Rising. You should find the lyrics there. And otherwise just guess, that's fine too. Keep using your voices and write your representatives and organizing works. We're going to start with the song We Rise, which was written by Bacha Levine in response to the hopelessness, they said, after the 2016 election, with the hope to dismantle oppressive systems within ourselves and the world around us. Thank you. You'll take it?
Yeah, just sing it.
And we co-translated this song together to move us to organize, to realize that the struggle of one of us is the struggle of all of us, and that the work that we do will impact generations to come. Thank you.
Sing along.
On one fine morning, I was awakened. Bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. One fine morning, I was awakened. for you guys. It's called We Shall Overcome. It is an old gospel hymn by Charles Albert Timely or Timley that has especially shown up in the Black movements for liberation and resistance in the U.S. Join us.
Timberlake, she is at the medic tent. If you are looking for your wife, she is at the medic tent, Mr. Timberlake.
Hoosiers! How are we doing today? My name is Alex Vitar, and I am a college Democrat. I'll be introducing our speakers for the second half of today's event. I could not be more honored to be here standing before you on behalf of the College Democrats of Indiana. But more importantly, I'm here for Hoosiers everywhere. No matter their race, age, ethnicity, religion, gender, whether they're disabled or not, whatever, even their beliefs. I do this because I believe democracy is made for all of
us. Not just you, not just me, not just those at the top, not just billionaires. It's for all of us. Today we preach one simple message. No kings are welcome here in America. A few months ago, in a radical and unchecked middle-of-the-night decision, Governor Mike Braun expunged the Board of Trustees and took unilateral control of our academic institutions. This new state government gutted not 100, not 200, not 300, but 400 degree programs from campuses across our great state. These are crucial programs such as molecular life sciences. Just a few days ago, on Tuesday, the dean of the media school at Indiana University in Bloomington fired our student media director. This is an action that comes at the expense of our free speech, disguised as a solid budgetary plan. But we've seen that before. I believe the one big beautiful bill rings a bell. But let it be clear that this bill is anything but beautiful. This bill and acts like it are nothing but bullshit. And unless we act and exercise our rights, this damage to our democracy will only continue. Hoosiers, thank you for coming out today. Your voice means the difference. Thank you to Indivisible, Mad Voters, ACLU of Indiana, Women for Change, and everyone else that showed up here today. You are the future of this country. Before we bring our first speakers for the second segment, I want to take a moment to recognize what connects them, not just in their work, but in their purpose. Suzanne Schwarz and Destiny Wells come from different paths. One is shaped by years of advocacy and education, and the other is forged in service and the law. But both have dedicated their lives to protecting the promise of democracy, to reminding us that leadership means accountability, and that power in this country belongs to you, the people. I first learned about Suzanne through her tireless work standing up for fairness and integrity in our public institutions, something that is ever so more important today. Work that she's carried through years of advocating for equal access, defending civil rights, and mentoring others to do the same. Suzanne has never shied away from asking the hard questions about power and responsibility. On September 17th, she was terminated by Ball State University for posting on her private social media page. Her voice reminds us that democracy only lives when we protect it, and the rights that we are afforded by it through courage, accountability, and caring for one another. Without further ado, please help me with a warm welcome for Suzanne Schwarz.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi. Thank you, Alex.
Alex. Thank you, Senator. And thank you to my fellow speakers, to the volunteers and organizers of this event who set this stage, literally and figuratively. And thank you to all of you for being here. I'm so happy to see so many of us out here exercising our First Amendment rights. Exercising our right to peaceably assemble, we can see our free press. We've seen freedom of religion. We see so much of us exercising that right to free speech with our posters, with the conversations that you're having with your friends, and with people you don't even know out here. I also would say that we are petitioning our government today. We should expect and urge our state officials to respect and uphold our civil liberties. As someone wise recently told me, we all have important things to say and share, and we have a right to share them without censorship. First terminated from my job, I read some of the comment sections on various social media platforms, which I know is a rookie mistake, and I don't do that anymore. But initially, I saw a number of comments saying freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences. And I gotta say, even if I were not experiencing this situation, I would question this logic. What happened to me has happened and is happening to so many others. There are so many people across our state and our country who are hesitant to speak up, whose speech is being chilled, and that is not okay. The consequences of exercising our First Amendment rights should not be so detrimental that we are afraid to exercise those rights in the first place. The point of free speech and the other rights enshrined in the First Amendment is to allow open sharing of opinions and information with each other and with our government. Our ability to exchange ideas and knowledge and to learn from each other is what helps propel society forward. We should be able to freely express ourselves. We should be able to point out injustices against ourselves and our neighbors. We should be able to advocate for the good of others. And we should be able to do all of this without the government affecting what we can and cannot say. So what's the next step then? Where do we go from here? What do we do now? I know there are some calls to action for today, but I want to leave you with 3 things. First, I want to tell you to keep loving each other. Keep caring about your friends, your neighbors, and even neighbors you don't know. Be fueled by the injustices that you want to make right, but also keep allowing yourself to be inspired and propelled by the good that you want for our communities and our country. Second, keep speaking in the ways you can. Keep being involved. Keep communicating to your elected officials. Keep reminding them and each other to uphold the Constitution. Continue to engage others in this conversation. And last but not least, remember that an injustice against one of us is an injustice against all of us. Keep fighting for an America for all the people. Thank you.
Who's next? Who's next? Dustin. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. I'm out.
Hey, so real quick, we've got a set of lost keys, keys, whistle, and a Speedy Rewards card. If you believe that is you, please go to the admin tent and meet with Summer from Indivisible Central Indiana. The admin tent is to my left over here. It should say security and admin, I believe. So thank you. Thank you, Suzanne, for that powerful reminder of why accountability and courage matter in our democracy, especially today. Our next speaker is Destiny Wells, a proud and seasoned Hoosier politician.
Give it up for Alex for being here on his IU homecoming weekend, fighting fascism. It will be the future of the party and people like Alex, and that is why I am here today. I first see myself above all of my identities as a patriot. How many other patriots do we have in the crowd? After 20 years of service, after serving with countries from all over the world, with NATO in Afghanistan, I have seen us at our best. I know what that is like, and I know how complex it is. I know how it is to walk around another place and say, why are we here? What are we fighting for? And so when I came home, I said I want to keep up the fight, and that's what I want to talk to you about. Because I came home as a patriot first, who decided to be a partisan second. And I thought that to do that, it was a two-team game. It was a flat, two-dimensional chessboard where I had to choose one party over the other and then do everything I could to win. But that was naive of me, because this democracy is not two-dimensional. It is not just a game board with us versus them. It is three-dimensional, and I forgot the most important party of all, and that is the people. Do not let this system cast you aside. Do not think that your only option is to be apathetic. Do not think that you must vilify everyone who may not be on your side. Understand again, like I did in that combat theater in Afghanistan, that we are human, that we are complex, and that we know that we will not be ruled by a king, and we will not be ruled by corrupt government. And that just doesn't go for state government. We're here in Indiana. We are at the end of 20 years of this brainchild of Mitch Daniels called public-private partnerships and privatizing government for, quote, economic development. We're the three kings of Indiana. Take your taxpayer money and then they spend it to get themselves their own company in Europe so that they become millionaires. And it's just not Indiana State Republicans, and that's where I'm going to get honest. More honest than I have ever been. Right now, in a room up in Valpo, sits your Indiana Democratic Party around a round table trying to figure out how they keep the lights on. Additionally, in this city of Indy, the 25th floor, the mayor's last words to me were, Destiny, stop being so angry.
democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. I say no, you say kings. No. 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 I say no, you say kings. No. 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 Hey, hey, ho, ho. Dictators have got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Dictators have got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Dictators have got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Dictators have got to go. Hey, yo. Let's get loud. Let's stay loud. All right. What a way to get fired up. Thank you, Destiny, and thank you, Suzanne, for showing us what it truly means to serve and protect the rights of every citizen. As we continue, our next set of speakers will tackle the challenges we face and the path forward. Each of them brings experience, courage, and a clear vision for how we protect our rights, strengthen our communities, and keep kings out of our democracy. When you talk about people who turn conviction into action, Angie Carterich is right at the top of that list. As the leader and CEO of Women for Change, Angie has helped build one of the most powerful grassroots networks in our state. A movement that brings women together, not just to be heard, but to shape policy, lift communities, and defend democracy itself. She's shown that real change doesn't start in Washington or at the Statehouse. It starts where everyday people come together and decide that silence is not an option. Angie's leadership reminds us that the fight for equality, for dignity, and for justice is still ours to carry forward. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Angie Carterich. Thank you.
Man, thanks for that introduction. Good afternoon, how are we doing today? It's amazing to be joined by so many like-minded activists and recognize this moment in time. I'm excited to be here representing Women for Change and to fight against no kings. We need to come together for our democracy, for our neighbors, and for fair elections. Friends, democracy is a participatory sport, and sports is something we pride ourselves on here in Indianapolis. But sports have rules of engagement, code of conduct, fair play. We're in a moment where rules of the game are being changed for the home team advantage. That's not just bad politics, it's cheating. Women for Change is a nonpartisan organization, pro-democracy and fighting for women's rights. We were founded in 2016 after the first Trump election. Our mission remains more relevant than ever, and the time is now to come together. We commissioned reports to look at the gerrymandering that happened after the 2020 census. Indiana has more gerrymandered and redistricted maps than 95% of other maps around our country. And we are hearing now, more than ever, pressure from the federal government for our local legislators to make sure to redraw those maps more so in their favor. As a mother, sister, daughter, and professional, I've had to learn, no is a full sentence. join me in saying no to redistricting, no to voter suppression, to election rigging, to disappearing our neighbor and community members, to a government that believes we are the enemy, to policies that induce fear and divide our country. We don't just say no, we say yes to the promise of our country and what we can do together. Yes to freedom of speech, to personal liberty and diversity, to representative government, for the people, by the people, and of the people. As Margaret Mead said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie, for reminding us what organized, compassionate leadership looks like. And that spirit of civic action runs through our next guest, someone who's been on the front lines of getting people engaged and informed. Amy Courtney with Mad Voters believes democracy works best when everyone shows up. And through her work, she's made sure that more Hoosiers do just that. She's built bridges across party lines, fought to protect voting rights, and stood firm against cynicism and apathy. Amy reminds us that democracy isn't a spectator sport. It takes energy, persistence, and faith in one another. And when she talks about the power of participation, and you can feel that hope, that belief, if we stay engaged, we can build something better. Together. So without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Amy Courtney.
Good afternoon. I'm Amy Courtney, the Executive Director of Mad Voters. Thank you so much for being here today. As I look out at each of you, I am moved by your strength, your courage, and your tenacity. You are here because you answered the call to defend our rights, our communities, and our country. And look around you at this No Kings movement that we have built together in just 4 short months. But of course, we could say that the No Kings movement goes back much farther. It is the foundation of what it means to be an American. We look to the indigenous community, the Black community, the LGBTQ+ community. We look to those who have fought this fight for so long. We are inspired by them. We are brave because of them. And we join them in solidarity for our rights, our communities, and our country. Our country! This regime is scared of the strength that each of our unique histories and experiences brings us. That's why they want to turn us against each other. That's why they're silencing diverse voices, trying to control our minds and bodies, and imposing their views on the rest of us. But they have confused unity for uniformity, and that will be their downfall. Because they have forgotten the core American principle, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. freedom. The great civil rights leader, John Lewis, reminds us that this is not the struggle of just one day, 1 week, or even 1 year. This is the struggle of a lifetime, of many lifetimes. And each one of us in every generation must do our part. So thank you for being here today to do your part. None of us has to single-handedly save the country from fascism. No one person can. But each of us has a moral obligation to do something, to act. So let's talk about what we can do. And please visit madvoters.org or @madvoters on social media if you need help with any of these actions. Number 1, contact your elected officials. They work for us. Let them know what you think. Even if you think they're not listening, they do track comments from constituents, and our collective voice does make an impact. Number 2, talk about what's happening, and not just on social media. Have real-world conversations. Stay informed, then share the facts, why you care, and how you are taking action. Put up yard signs. Use your privilege to call out censorship and abuses of power. Don't be silent. Don't cower or comply in advance. Number 3, be a part of direct action. There are many organizations here today who are organizing meaningful direct actions. Boycott the companies that are complicit in the actions of this regime. Join protests with a purpose. Take nonviolence training. Support the marginalized communities around you by donating or volunteering. Number 4, and this one's my favorite, run for precinct chair within your county party. Precincts are the smallest unit of our democracy. This is a great way to get to know your neighbors and to organize them around the issues they care about most. And you want to know a secret? Becoming a precinct chair is how we change political parties. Just ask the Tea Party. It gives you a say in who leads the parties and what policies and platform those parties support. And number 5, volunteer for a campaign or run for office yourself. Campaigns need people to canvass, phone bank, manage social media, manage finances, so much more. And if you want to run, we at Mad Voters would love to help you. So, we are joining a movement that has been going on for a very long time. And yet, we have also found ourselves in an urgent moment that requires all of us, we the people, to act. The time is now. Silence at this moment is complicity. This is the time to get loud. This is the time to organize. This is the time to disrupt. This is the time, in the words of John